The City of Pelican Rapids Council meeting of 25 February 2020 is called to order. I'd ask at this time if you have not signed the clipboard at the front table, if you would do so before you leave here this evening, and also if you have cell phones, please put them to vibrate. This is precinct caucus night in the state of Minnesota, so due to statute, no public meetings can be held after 6 p.m. So with that said, our council meeting will have to adjourn at 6 p.m. or before. Roll call of members. Danielle?
Councilmember Steve Strand.
Here.
Councilmember Kevin Ballard.
Here.
Councilmember Curt Markgraf.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Foster.
Here.
And Brent Frazier.
Here. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here in our council chambers this evening, and also those on channel 14, which will be watching our council meetings on Wednesday evenings. A few announcements for the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February 26th, at 10 to 11 a.m. at the library is Conversations with the Mayor. 28th, 29th of February, and 1st of March is the FM Home and Garden Show at the Fargo Dome, which the City of Pelican Rapids will be having a booth. Also, Saturday, February 29th is leap year. 29 days in February, so we get to celebrate leap year this year. Tuesday, March 3rd is presidential nomination primary elections in Minnesota. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, March 8th, as daylight savings time begins here in Minnesota, and also on Tuesday, March 10th at 5 p.m. is our next scheduled city council meeting. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Hearing none, if we'd all please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 2 on our agenda is citizens' comments. Anyone here for citizens' comments? Seeing none. Item number 3 is additions or deletions to our agenda. Any additions or deletions?
Move the agenda as presented.
A second?
Motion second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 4 is approval of consent agenda on those items of which I will read. Item number 4A is approval of council minutes from February 11th, 2020. 4B is approval of accounts payable listing. 4C is liquor store report. 4D is staff reports, which consist of 4D1 utility report and 4D2 liquor store report. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Second. Motion second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 5 is city lights, Otter Tail Power. We have Nathan with us here this evening from Otter Tail Power. And Nathan, would you tell us your position with Otter Tail Power? And
Sure. My name's Nate Kunde. I'm the operations manager for the Fergus Falls Customer Service Center, which covers the Pelican Rapids area. So my duties are basically oversee kind of the whole field operations, lineman service, construction projects that take place within our footprint. So here today to talk to you about opportunities to partner up with Otter Tail Power to kind of resolve some municipal-owned lighting issues. So last though, I suppose it was fall time, we did a LED conversion of all Otter Tail-owned lights within the cities, or within Pelican Rapids, and the only ones that remain, that orange light or that high-pressure sodium light, are actually municipal-owned fixtures, and I believe there was roughly, what did we have, 37 of them or so, yeah. So it's a 32, yeah. So it's a combination between the post-top fixtures that are in the downtown area and then some of the Cobra Head style fixtures that are on the south end of town, kind of out by the high school and the elementary there. So we'll run through basically 4 options that we have. One of the biggest things that we're kind of keeping an eye on is the reconstruction project that's going to take place in 2024. and we're hopefully going to be continuing the conversation as Otter Tail works to develop some decorative tariff options that our communities have been asking for. We do have a meeting set up next Friday to hopefully continue the path to develop those tariffs for those decorative standards and what those options are going to be. But preliminary, our tariff development committee has moved the project forward, and we've decided to kind of go more of an a la carte options rather than a encompassed all-in tariff, just to allow the flexibility with our cities to maintain some cost options there, whether they want to do the if we have concrete removal or there's just a wide variety of construction challenges that could take place that we'll kind of define in the a la carte option there, and we'll speak to that more once we kind of get those things developed here too. So
Can I just say something real
Yeah.
quickly and let the council know, and just taking a step back. The reason we're going to be talking about all this is with the city-owned lights that we have in town. We met with Otter Tail Power, and we've talked to MnDOT a little bit too about the 2024 project, and one of the things MnDOT was wondering is there going to be some light upgrades in the city too, because that's an Otter Tail Power thing or a city thing, depending on. So we started looking at or thinking about the lights that are owned by the city, and most of them, like he had mentioned, 37 of them are the black decorative poles with the bulbs on top, and then there's the other ones are them kind of hangover ones like down above the path going from like Faith Church out towards the elementary school. And so one of the things that, when we met with Otter Tail Power and talked to them, we met with them just to kind of begin with, to make sure that they're aware of the 2024 project, and if they're planning on doing anything to their systems along 108 or 59, to make sure that they got connected up with Tom Pace and MnDOT so they could kind of coordinate anything that they want to do. Well, what we were also talking about was our existing lights that right now the city owns. We got it under a lease purchase with Otter Tail Power, them decorative ones. Their lifespan or life expectancy is up. One of the things when I started here and we were under that lease purchase, one of the things that we'd always talked about was once that lease purchase was paid for, looking at maybe getting into another one and having more lights put in and that type of thing. But after having some conversations with Otter Tail Power, they want for us to consider, and I think we really need to consider, in talking with Brian and stuff too, that instead of us continuing to own lights, and now we're staring, I think these present lights were about $120,000 through a lease purchase. They're to the point they need to be replaced. There's really no value left in them, so they need to be replaced. And that's kind of the main reason why he's here to kind of present this stuff to you, because one of our options are going to be basically, or the option we'd like you to consider is turning these lights back over to Otter Tail Power, saving the city basically a ton of money with having to, other than having to upgrade them ourselves. But, also if we decide we want to keep them, what's our options and what are we going to have to look at doing going forward? And if we turn these lights back over, which you'll probably be talking about, I'm sure, if we turn these lights back over to Otter Tail Power, then when 2024 comes, the city isn't going to have to deal with them. Otter Tail Power, depending on what we decide to do between now and 2024, will handle all that. So that's kind of how we got to where we're at today. So.
Yep. And like Don had mentioned, we'll talk about those opportunities, or those, we kind of identified, 4 options that kind of that we could go down. So just to give you a little insight, our company, one of our, like I told, the mayor and Don when we started talking about this, I said, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to just present you an opportunity that could maybe solve a problem for the city, and just kind of present you, some of the options that we're going to offer. And with that, one of our core company values is community. So, and it's right in our mission statement. I mean, we try to improve the quality of life in the areas in which we do business. And Pelican Rapids being one of those areas in which we do business, we want to see the community grow and thrive, and also provide opportunities that is going to benefit the community. So just kind of a high-level view of your current system, the current municipal-owned system. Their HID fixtures or the high-pressure sodium, they give off that orange light. We got about 32 post-op fixtures and 12 Cobra head fixtures. They were roughly purchased about 15 years ago, I believe, through Otesco. Some of the communities that we have been partnering with and doing some of these things have been seeing some cost savings, not only on their operational end, but on their city insurance costs, or they're finding out that, hey, we didn't have coverage for our municipal lighting, and so it's kind of a eye-opening experience for them there. You're currently being charged on the energy-only rate. I have some of those numbers, and that's kind of what we use to do the cost comparison on some of these things. You also have a maintenance contract with Otter Tail Power, which basically says we can change out bulbs, photo eyes, and like-for-like fixture replacements. So the opportunity for Otter Tail Power to do a LED conversion on a municipal-owned system does not exist due to National Electric Safety Code. So it's bureaucracy at its finest right there. So the city would need to hire a licensed electrician to replace any failed wiring. You don't necessarily have the proper equipment to install the standards or fix the lights yourselves, and you're still liable to locate all the underground wires and facilities whenever there's a one-call made. So today we'll talk about what can we do with the 4 options. We can provide LED fixtures on tariff rates as kind of the options that exist for us. Ideally, we'd like to kind of identify what option is going to be the best fit, and kind of, we're not here necessarily to make a decision today. I'm here to basically just kind of present you the info, talk to your constituents amongst yourselves, and kind of figure out maybe what's going to be our best plan forward. So, and what's going to be most cost-effective and what's going to be the long-term reliable solution there. So some of the benefits partnering with OTP is we're low cost. So we have fixed monthly cost that we call a tariff. The way we're able to keep our costs low, we take a socialized approach, and we take our rates and basically have all of our ratepayers kind of socialize or subsidize our costs. Tariff rates are approved by the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission, so in order for those to be changed, we actually have to go through a rate case and get it approved by the MPUC. So we can't just willy-nilly say, hey, I think we need to bump our lighting rates up, $2 per month. It has to go through the MPUC, and that's for all of our communities that are impacted. And then one of the benefits is just there's no large upfront costs to the city. So if you were to replace your municipal lighting system, you're probably looking at for 40-plus lights, $600,000 at least, I would say, depending on your decorative options, upwards to $1 million. So you're not having to go out and bond for it. You're not having to hire contractors. You're not having to pay interest on any of that. It's just we're taking on the burden of supplying the system. You get the flat rate of a monthly tariff. No city maintenance, so OTP would be responsible for all the maintenance, all the fixture replacement, standard replacement, wiring, locating. We'd see timely replacement of facilities. So let's say a car, when they wipe one out, you're not waiting for one supplier to try to find a match of what you currently have. We're big enough that we're going to standardize, and we have a warehouse facility over in Wahpeton that basically says, okay, if we're planning on having these in our system, we're going to stock X amount of this type of light type, and it's just a matter of us getting it transported from Wahpeton to here. And then, the potential for the reduced liability there too. So you're going to remove your liability from streetlight caused accidents. So we see some of the communities where the stuff gets to be end of life. We're in Minnesota, so we got road salt issues, corrosion issues that have actually been part of one municipality that had a streetlight fixture actually fall over in the wind due to the mounting bracket rusting out and fell in a car. Well, that was a huge eye-opener. There's a potential for lower insurance premiums, being that you won't be responsible for a municipal lighting system, no electrical hazard liabilities or anything like that. So we'll kind of get into our options. Option one, basically just keep things as they are until the highway reconstruction project comes. So option one is essentially just punt. We'd still bill you the cost of energy, we'd still have the maintenance agreement. Some of the concerns that would take place with this option is just the availability of parts and bulbs to maintain the current system for another 4 years. Not saying it's not possible, it's just the lead times are getting longer. Finding matching fixture replacements, so if you do have, like say, a Cobra head fixture that ends up being a complete failure, getting a replacement Cobra head fixture is becoming more and more difficult in an HPS. LED, no problem, but once again, you're going to have to hire an electrician to go ahead and make that change, which just ends up being more cost to the city. So option two is the city can just purchase LEDs and retrofit the fixtures themselves and finance the project and leave the system as is. You have to hire the electrician to do the retrofit. Really, the only real savings that you'd see is on the cost of energy side of things. You'd probably still end up needing a maintenance agreement with Otter Tail. At that point, you know, we could do the like-for-like changeouts, we'd do the photo eye replacements, anything of that nature, but you'd still be responsible for maintaining the system, locating the underground wires, doing any sort of standard replacements, anything like that. So really the only cost savings here would be the energy use. So option three would be OTP could assume the ownership of the municipal lightway system and retrofit with our current LED option. So this basically takes all 32 post-top fixtures, all 12 Cobra head fixtures, says, okay, Otter Tail, take care of it, retrofit them to LED. I'll show you the options that exist for that today. Like I said, we kind of preface we're in the development stages of some more decorative options. But it would essentially convert everything to LED and put all the maintenance and liability back on Otter Tail Power Company. And we just bill you at instead of an energy use rate, we'd bill you the tariff rate. And that would just be a tariff rate for the fixture. So we do have a decorative standard tariff rate, but we wouldn't bill you that until we would actually have to go and replace a standard.
And currently, you're billing us on the tariff rate for all your own lights now, right?
Correct. Yep. So all Otter Tail owned lights that are for municipal use are currently being billed on the tariff rate. Yes.
So we would just be potentially giving you back these lights, and they would just convert over to additional lights on that tariff rate.
Correct. Yep. So option four would be that OTP could assume sections of the municipal lightway. So there's probably some mixed feelings about what our post-top option looks like compared to maybe what you have. So that's why we thought maybe option four might be something that you'd want to explore as well. So option four would basically say OTP would kind of assume ownership of the 12 Cobra head fixtures, being that our fixture replacement is kind of right in line with what's there now, other than it's not black, it's gray, but it's 4 years until we fix it, or we could spray paint them too, or whatever you'd like to see there. But it's an option that we can explore and move those 12 onto tariff rates and leave the post-top fixtures in the downtown area essentially as they are. So, and then, you know, kind of what we prefaced when we began is explore more options when the 2024 highway reconstruction takes place. So just some slides and some general overview. I mean, you guys aren't new to LEDs. You've had them for about 1.5 years or so now, and just about every community we do the conversion in, we either get very positive feedback or we don't hear a word, and typically we say, all right, no news is good news. People don't seem to really notice, which is fine. But I mean, as far as like, sometimes we get some complaints on light adjustments and, oh, it seems like it's shining right in my windows and stuff now. So just kind of give you a comparison of, you know, what you have right now with the high pressure sodium versus the LED, just a cleaner, crisper light. So today we currently offer an aluminum standard as one of our decorative options. So this is down in Kensington. It's essentially a aluminum pole, has a breakaway base on it, LED fixture. That's pretty standard for us. So if you wanted to look at, what we could potentially replace the 12 post tops, or the 12 Cobra head fixtures with, this would be it. So if one of those poles gets ran over, we'd go and throw something out like this up. So these are the two fixtures that we currently offer that we have a tariff established for. So the one on the left is our Cobra head fixture, which are pretty much all over town, and then the one on the right is our post top fixture. So this is what we would essentially replace the downtown fixtures with. They're kind of a colonial style, if you will. And then just a little bit more information on how we install these things. They have a screw-in base, roughly goes down the ground about 5 feet, and has some ports on the side that we bring duct into. So we're currently mapping out a project for Fergus Falls. It's pretty large, and we expect to learn a lot from doing a large lighting project that we haven't done in quite a few years. But just working with duct and our screw-in bases and stuff, and just the different options that are out there for construction now. So you won't be the guinea pigs come 2024 when it comes time to doing, the municipal white way, but we should have a pretty good plan in place on what that's all going to take. And then kind of like I referenced before, there's a few complaints that we've had is, it seems like the light is, shining right in my window. 9 times out of 10, we're able to get that by just actually doing the adjustment on the light. These fixtures have a lot more adjustments that can be made compared to the old HPS fixtures. But we also have what's called a light trespass shield. So if we have one particular property owner that doesn't like the backlight from it, or it becomes an issue, we do have the option to install this too. So kind of an overview of some currently monthly costs. Your current cost of your system, your energy is about $5,900, and your maintenance contract is about $900. That's what we're paying right now a year. Obviously, it's going to vary a little bit year to year based on cost of energy and just how long the lights are on. So the estimated yearly cost of replacement, so if we were to come in and replace everything, the 32 post tops and the 12 Cobra heads, and move you to the tariff rate, we'd be looking at just about $8,000. But that is encompassing all the maintenance that's associated with those as well. So I don't know how you guys maybe record your time or your maintenance that's associated with that, but nor do I have necessarily access to that. So I don't have that figure in front of me and what you could potentially see in maintenance savings, and I'd encourage you to reach out to your insurance provider and see if there's a potential to have insurance premium savings there as well. So just high level, if we're looking at just the cost of energy piece here, looking at about $1,200 increase or so to the city annually. So just some potential energy savings. Some communities have been interested in this. Said we're not doing a like-for-like comparison because we're talking about going from an energy-only rate to a tariffed rate, and there's we're covering the cost of the fixtures in there and the maintenance and the energy and everything else in there too. So when we do this comparison, we essentially look at, okay, if you were to take a 60-watt light bulb, incandescent light bulb in your house, and replace it with a 7-watt LED, it gives us the same amount of lumens, but you significantly reduce that wattage. What would that be in cost of energy dollars? So, on these smaller ones, like the 100-watt or the old HPS 9s that are being replaced with an LED 5, you're saving about 53 watts. It's not super significant, but when you get up into the HPS 44s or the 400 watts, and our replacement fixture is at 133, I mean, that's a pretty significant savings there when you're talking 270 watts. So, and when you look at kind of the cost of energy there as well, you get up into those higher rated fixtures, I mean, you're looking at some pretty significant dollar savings when you start taking those times the amount of fixtures that are out there, so. I guess, the path forward here, what we'd like to see, we want to continue to work with the City of Pelican Rapids and really identify what one of these options is going to, best fit for the city until 2024. So, just kind of a recap, we got that, option to do it all, we got the option to do part of it, and we got the option to do none of it, and then city has the option to just retrofit it yourself. So as we kind of work together to see which option we go for, I'd like to continue talking about 2024, and once we have some more firm tariffs established, we're hoping by the end of 2020 we really have that nailed down on what it's going to look like and get it approved by the PUC. I'll be coming to working with the city staff and giving you options on potentially what we could do for 2024 during that construction time period too. So one of the other things that has kind of been discussed is expanding some of the whiteways. So I'd be just basically adding more OTP-owned lighting in areas of town, and I've got maps of our current light placement in the city to Don, and I think you and Brian were maybe going to explore that a little bit more as well.
So one of the things that kind of came out of the discussions when we talk about 2024, whether we own these, continue to own these lights or we turn them back, but also to take a look at areas of town right now. Are we deficient in some areas and we need more lights, and working with Otter Power through this 2024 project to try and map out, and I don't know, we kind of talked about maybe doing a lighting study or some sort to work with you guys to see if there's areas in town where we presently don't have lights that we're going to want lights. And excuse me, one of the areas in particular that comes to mind right away is 108 West going out to the apartment building. Do we need some more lighting out there? I'd say definitely. So there are areas of town right now where we probably need to add lights. And so while we're going through and talking about turning lights back over, if that's what we do, and working towards that 2024 project, when that project happens, when Otter Power starts updating lights and all other stuff too, is where do we want to put more lights?
And if our options today, such as like the aluminum standard and the Cobra head, fit those needs and desires in the areas that you want to add more lighting, we don't have to wait till 2024 to do those. We can work that as a separate deal as well. So if we have options that are established today that you say, hey, this would look great, this would work fine, by all means we can do that. And like I said, hopefully in 2021 when our decorative options are all out there, we could potentially look at doing that too, even prior to the highway project, if it's not going to be impacted by that. So, like Don had mentioned, we do have access to a lighting designer. The gal that I've been working with here for the last year or so just informed me today that she's going to be retiring at the end of the month. But she does have a replacement. I'll be meeting her next Friday, but we'll be continue to work with her as well. So some of our future offerings just kind of show you what we're going to be talking about here throughout 2020 and be developing. So these are just we don't have anything set in stone yet, but this is what we've been looking at. So just some snapshots of some of the fixtures that we're exploring. The one on the right is what we refer to as an acorn style. So you have your pole, there's a little bit of an arm, and then the fixture actually hangs down on the arm like a pine cone or acorn would hang off a tree. So we'd be looking at doing some sort of decorative type base, and then I believe it's just your standard aluminum riser pole on that. So any questions or discussion, clarification that you'd like to see?
I believe Superintendent Olson has.
I just have one for you. If we were to switch out, if they just ever decide to do that, right now, people actually do hit these.
Yep.
We call our own electrician, they take care of it. I try to find the pole, I try the fixture.
Yep.
Would you in turn then cover that end of it?
Yes, we would have to figure out a way that we would be finding an option in the interim that we would replace it with a decorative option, but we're hopefully going to have that by the end of the year. So at that point, when they do get hit, when they do, and they do get replaced with an OTP-owned fixture, you will see a additional charge for that, a tariff fee for the standard. Yeah. It's not a flat-out billing, it's a tariff rate, once again. So you don't see these large, hey, we had a $1,500 charge this month for this particular pole and the labor and everything else that goes along with it. It's just a charge, a flat tariff rate, such as like our aluminum standards. I believe are around $12 or under $12 a month for the aluminum standard. So
But when they get hit, would we know ahead of time what the tariff rate is, like, so we could forward that on to
yep, and that's what.
the accident report, onto the driver's insurance and things like that?
Yep, and that's what we're establishing right now. So we don't have a direct replacement for what you currently have downtown for your post tops, but we are hopeful to get that approved in 2020 by the PUC. And once those come out, they essentially get published in our rate book, and they don't change until we go in for a rate case.
Question, Don?
But if we turn the lights back to you guys.
Yep.
And somebody hits a light,
Yep.
we don't have to deal with the insurance. We basically just, you guys take care of it.
Correct.
It's your light, it's your infrastructure.
Yep.
Can you go back to slide 12? That shows currently your options, that one.
Yep.
So basically, if the city decided to basically turn the lights back now, for instance, or
Yep.
within the next couple of months or month or whatever, then you guys would start working pretty much right away to replace all of our Cobra heads with the left and all of our decorative with LED option on the right.
Correct. Yep.
And then at that time also, because we're turning it back, you would do this now, but would we still then, as you guys approve the more decorative or the new decorative options going forward, we'd still have the option of working with you guys to replace those with the new style, just because these standards aren't available anymore?
Correct. So once I assume you're talking with the 2024 project, right?
Correct.
Yep. So at that point, we basically say, well, no matter what option that we choose here, if it's going to be removed, it's not worth reinstalling, right? It's kind of at its end of life. The rewiring that needs to take place, the corrosion issues, I mean, the list goes on, where it's just like, now's the time to do it right. So whether you choose to do the municipal system on your own, or whether you partner with Otter Tail and do a decorative lighting system, at that point is when you'd see the tariff for the decorative standard take place, and or when we replace a standard that's damaged or something along those lines. But you don't get any billing for it. It's just, hey, here's an additional tariff because we had to replace this. You don't have to worry about
We're
the
adding
insurance companies.
one more light to the system.
No.
I don't know, maybe I misunderstood Don's question, but if we opted to say, right now tonight, turn these lights back to Otter Tail Power.
Yep.
Will you come in and change these lights that we currently have, since the 2024 project's out of ways?
Yep.
And you don't have the decorative standards
Yep.
until 2021 or whatever you said?
Yep.
Could we then upgrade those lights to this new decorative standard if something we would rather have came out in the project, during the project? Or would the update that we just did have to?
That was kind of why I asked the question the way I did.
Yep.
Because our standards on these decorative lights are no longer available.
Right.
So eventually, they have to be replaced anyway, so that's why I asked in 2024,
Yep.
if we have this, by the end of the year, so to speak, for the 2024 project, when you guys have them new decorative options available in 2024, can we swap all of these out for the more decorative ones?
And that's what we would intend on doing.
Yes.
Even if we use newer ones now, the ones that are available now?
This is the bridge to get us to 2024,
Okay.
basically. Yep.
Because the only part of this that's going to work now is just the top.
Right.
On our existing old pole.
Right.
Yeah, we fully intend on this just kind of being, hey, let's finish the conversion totally and get us all LED. And this is kind of our options until we get to 2024, and when we'd say, all right, whole system's coming out, whatever you guys choose from our menu of options, that's what we're gonna go and install. Yeah, just because you go with the Colonials now, doesn't mean that you're
Stuck with them.
Right.
Well, Nathan's given us a lot of information this evening, a lot to digest if you've heard it for the first time. But he isn't looking for a decision
Oh, right,
this
right.
evening.
I understand
For us to think about. Councilman Foster?
Does the tariff rate come off after 10 years after we've had these, or?
No, they're for life. Because it's
And we're currently just being billed for the power used, right?
on this particular system, yep. But any other municipal use light in town that's Otter Tail owned, you're paying the tariff on. I don't have that fixture or number in front of me, but it's probably in the, I'd say 200 plus range. I think we did like a 380 some lights in the LED conversion for Pelican Rapids, and I want to say a majority of those are for municipal use. I can get that number for you. So you're already paying the tariff on whatever.
On all except for probably the 32 lights or whatever.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. But,
Any other questions?
How often do we replace a light now in the downtown of these 37 that are?
Well, Nate, you want to talk?
every
Quite
week,
often.
it seems
Quite
like.
often. It's their, and they are struggling. We actually have had some meetings here in the last month, but quite often. And they're struggling to get the bulb. And actually, we have another.
Okay, well, how often is quite often?
Well, probably once a week.
Once a month?
No, once a week. I bet I email them a light that is out.
Yeah, I'd say it varies month to month, but especially with the cold season now, it's really hard on the bulbs. And the ballast for that matter, just about all equipment, as the cold gets tough on them. So, yeah, it's either twice a month, if sometimes not more than that, I'd say. So if you were to average it out, we're messing with it at least once a month. That's the conservative answer, I'd say.
Councilman Strand, good question.
Nathan, decorative lighting to me is not a very efficient way of putting light where you want it. When I look at that, it's light pollution, which people talk about now, and there's no way to make it look pretty and have it lighting, is there?
Well, I'm actually glad you brought that up. So the LED has significantly reduced the light pollution. I don't even know how much, but it's crazy how much this stuff can be directed, right, to where we want to actually illuminate. So if you take a look at like the fixture on the right, the colonial style, the old colonial style that we had was the HPS based, and it's essentially a big light bulb that screws into a socket similar to your house, right? But the socket was on the base of the light fixture, and the bulb screwed in, and you were dependent on the refractors to actually refract it back down to the ground. So on the redesigned Colonial here, you can kind of see up underneath there the LED fixture is actually located on the roof or the top of the fixture, and it has different LEDs actually pointed down and at different angles to illuminate the ground the area that we're trying to illuminate. I was very skeptical of these fixtures right away at first. I thought, okay, good luck with this. And we put a few of them up in the conversion, and I've actually been quite surprised at how well they illuminate where they're designated or supposed to illuminate.
And actually, Nathan, is this one of the ones that you have in town?
We do. I can't remember the gentleman's name.
Bard Miller's yard
That's right,
has one of these on it.
I'll roll there.
So in the dark, drive by there and look at it. If it's not on, drive up and knock on the door.
Okay.
That one shouldn't be able to be turned on. It should be
On, off?
operate on a photo eye. So, any of our systems, we don't operate them on a relay where you'd see all of them come on or all of them go off at the same time. Each light operates independently on a photo eye, and that's just how we would design our system for, the amount of time in between one coming on and the next one coming on and the next one coming on is so minimal that it really is it was more gimmicky of the past, I would say, to have everything, oh, cool, it all came on at the same time. But nowadays, it's actually easier for us to troubleshoot the light if we just leave the entire system energized and rely on the photocell to operate the light on and off. So we get a lot more dependability out of it.
So Nathan, you're saying with that style, the LED, when you drive down the street, it's not going to be shining at you then?
You have very reduced glare.
Because these are something else. Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
I got the same question when we were talking about doing the Fergus project, and if you happen to be in Fergus right now and drive on North Union, there's a municipal lighting system that's high-pressure sodium, and then you cross over the railroad tracks and it switches to OTP LED lighting, and that is the best sales pitch for these LED lights that I can come up with. I mean, people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how clear everything is now with the LED lighting. But you have it all over town already.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I mean, it's more lighting and, yeah, people like it, so thank you.
Any other questions for Nathan?
I just come in, so one of the things that Brent had mentioned, you're not necessarily going to need to make a decision tonight, but the plan was on the next council agenda to also have this. And if the decision can be made to keep them or turn them back, at least the sooner we can make that decision, the more they can start working on things, or we can start working with MnDOT on the 2024 project if we're going to have to be responsible for lights, so.
Nathan, will you be present at that meeting?
I will, yep. So just kind of wanted to get the information and the options out in front of you. Kind of digest it all, see what makes sense, talk with your constituents, and just kind of see what direction you might want to go. And like I said, I'll come back next month here, and probably won't run through the whole slideshow again, but if there's specific talking points or questions that you have, until then, I'd prefer that you get them to me prior to the meeting. That way I can get the answers if I don't know the answer right off the top of my head, or get more information for you, or if you want to see a greater breakdown of whatever, I can potentially get that too. And Don has all my contact information, and Brian.
Can I ask one more? What's the cost difference between the decorative and the one on the left?
Well,
You know, if you were,
so the LED, well, once again, it depends on the wattage, right? So if you just take a look at like a 100-watt replacement or an HPS 9 replacement, Cobra head, the tariff rate is $9.39 a month, and the post top, which would be the one on the right, is $11.30.
Okay, a couple dollar difference.
$2 difference right now, yeah.
Any other questions for Nathan before we let him go?
because we wouldn't have to have as many decorative, right? I mean,
Yeah, so you'd have 12 of them that would end up with the Cobra head, and you'd have 32 of them that would end up with the post-top unit there. And that's to retrofit what you have, and then come 2024, then it's really a blank slate, right?
okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Let's call. Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks for your time,
See you
Council.
at the next council meeting. Item number 6 is pool committee minutes. Those are in your packet. That's just an FYI. Any questions on those? Hearing none, let's go to item number 8, city administrator report.
Okay, since the last council meeting, working on the agenda and prepping for the meeting was typical activity. Also held a public informational meeting last Wednesday for CASA 96 and 100 project. So we sent letters out and invited all the property owners abutting, 96 around the high school, and then on West Mill and going up on First Street. We invited all them property owners to come in and business owners talk to us, learn about the project, answer any questions they may have, and specifically talk to them about the potential for them to replace the water lines going into their buildings, not just to the curb stop from the main, but from the curb stop in through the walls of their buildings. And so we're still working on that part of the project, and the engineer will be contacting those that didn't come, further on down the road here to talk to them specifically about that option to do that. So the reason for that is so that we can coordinate with their plumber to get the work done. Because this will be the last time that they'll have an opportunity to replace the lines going right through their walls and whatever, with the street all ripped up. If they don't do it now, we anticipate that we're not going to be doing anything like this again for 30 years. So if they have a water main or a water issue in their building, it's going to be quite expensive for them. So we're encouraging them to take a look at replacing that stuff. I also sat down with Otter Tail County Community Development Director Amy Baldwin and just kind of went over where they were at with their housing programs and what they're trying to do at the county level to try and spur housing development throughout Otter Tail County. So we got a little bit of an update there. I attended the February 19th Planning Commission meeting, went over a little bit about with them about the comp plan, the Northwest development. They also set a public hearing that's going to be coming up regarding a conditional use permit request or a special use permit request by the Farmers Elevator. Met with Tom Pace, the mayor and I did, regarding the signal lights, and the city council will hear more about something that they've been talking about and want to share with the city council about potentially looking at doing maybe something with the signal lights regarding a left turn prior to 2024. Last night I attended the annual Fire Hall Township annual meeting and kind of went over the plans for the fire hall for the next year with Trevor and the townships. And then today met with Apex Engineering again regarding another potential Otter Tail County garage site and looking at some potential infrastructure on that. And depending on where the county goes, you guys will hear more about that as we go forward, even though the council's already pretty much said, hey, if you guys want to do something up north of City Hall here, you're good to go there, but they're still looking at some other options also, so trying to figure out the best forum. That's it.
Any questions for Don?
Thank you.
FYI, that public hearing is the 9th of March, 5 o'clock.
Public hearing for,
A special use permit for the farmer's elevator to put the propane tanks in.
Any other questions for Don? Okay, if not, item number 7, Mayor report, a few things I've done the last couple of weeks, city-related. That's with Library Board President regarding operations at the Pelican Rapids Public Library. 12th of February, attended the facade 96 and 100 meeting, which Don talked about here with property owners along those county highways. Attended a food shelf meeting regarding the community gardens up by the water tower. 13th of February, met with Dina Johnson regarding the Fargo Moorhead Home and Garden Show at the Fargo Dome this coming weekend. 18th of February, spoke at the Noon Rotary Club to give update on status of the city and scheduled projects that are upcoming. 19th of February, attended Planning Commission meeting, which Don talked about regarding the farmer's elevator and the proposal to have propane tanks on their site. 21st of February, by invitation, I attended the ribbon cutting ceremony at Fergus Falls M State regarding the Workforce Center, which was located downtown Fergus Falls, has moved into the college at this time. 21st of February, met with Administrator Solga regarding tonight's council meeting agenda. Yesterday, as Don mentioned himself, Bob Schliemann of Apex Engineering and I met with MnDOT personnel regarding complete streets project and street lighting here within Pelican Rapids. And last evening, attended the Pelican Rapids Fire Department annual meeting. Any questions?
I have a couple. What was the library discussion about?
Just operations in general.
Are they turning on the heat for the roof? Are they, what are they doing?
We talked about that and wages and different things.
What was decided?
Or not, nothing. No, he was just, the president wanted to know what to, there was board meetings, and when is the next board meeting, Kurt?
Not till the first Monday.
Yeah. We just talked about stuff so he could present it to his board. Just general topics regarding the library. Any other questions?
When's the next highway meeting?
They're, based on our conversations with Tom Pace yesterday, they should be completing the RFP process within the next month, I believe. And when I asked them about, starting to go through with the design, because then they'll have the consultant on board, and then the consultant will start looking at everything and trying to plan those pre-design and design sessions. And he was saying that this summer, going into this fall, is when you'll start having more meetings and public input meetings and stuff like that too. And so I specifically asked him that yesterday so I can start letting people know that are interested in being a part of them meetings from our community, so I can let them know when they're going to be. He did say, we talked a little bit about the technology that MnDOT has available to them so that we can hopefully have more of those discussions and those meetings down here as opposed to up in Detroit Lakes at MnDOT's main office. So that was good. So as soon as we know, we'll let you know. They're still trying to get to that bidding, through that RFP bidding process and hire their consultants.
Could you tell me more about my pet project with the left turn lights? Why did that come up now?
Well, after he was here,
Yeah?
and you
I
guys...
bugged him again, yeah.
Yeah, bugged him again. No, he's been thinking about it, and so he sat down with their signal light guy, their signal light design engineer, and they were talking about different options with the lights and the left turn arrow and everything else. And, I think he had mentioned when he was here that they were still, looking at what might be available. And so they just wanted to kind of meet with us and show us one of the things that they had come up with and if we thought that would work. And I said, why don't we put it on the agenda and you can come and kind of pitch the whole thing to the council and see. Because there's the wait till 2024 to do it, or look at doing it before 2024. And so they kind of wanted to, just talk to us about what would be the difference if we waited versus if we had it done now. Will this be the end, solve all the issues now? Maybe, maybe not. Because one of the things that they want to look at when that consultant gets on board and they start looking at the turning and radiuses and all that stuff and going, and the design, and the consultants starting to look at the pre-design and, they're going to be doing radius studies and all that stuff like that. Out of that, the design studies and all that stuff will help the consultant determine what would be the best option for us when it comes to trying to solve left turns. It might be through a camera system, it might be through loop system, it might be through going with mini roundabouts. And so they want to come and explain all that. If it's something that the city wants to try something prior to 2024, then basically the city's going to have to decide to do it and pay for it. And so they want to come and just share that. We thought they're the guys that know the pros and cons of this. Just come and share what you shared with us with the city council and what the cost would be and go from there.
Because when he was here last time, he said, well, they won't pay anything, we can't do anything until 2024.
They won't pay for anything.
No, he said we couldn't do it. And I'm thinking we could do it ourselves, so.
Well, they control the systems, but.
I know.
So he said he just kept thinking about it, and talking to them about it, and said, I got an idea.
Okay.
And so he just wanted to throw it at us to see what we think you guys would think about that idea. And obviously, it comes at a cost. And we don't know if it will be the end-all, the idea come 2024, but they're going to come to the next meeting. And you got to think. Yeah, you got to.
Oh, my gosh, it's just a no-brainer. Thank you.
Seeing no other items on this evening's agenda, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned.
What is the date?